Is the devil just a metaphor for the darkness in the human heart, or is he a physical presence walking among us? We've all seen the Hollywood versions, horns, pitchforks, and red skin, but what if the real thing is much more subtle, much more terrifying, and has already been caught on tape? Today we're looking at 10 documented cases where people claim to have looked into the eyes of the Prince of Darkness himself, from chilling doorbell camera footage in Texas that left the neighborhood in fear, to a 1980s possession case that changed the American legal system forever. These are 10 real encounters with the devil caught on camera. Imagine checking your Ring camera while out at dinner, only to find a figure in a goat mask standing at your door, holding a sign about the end of the world. In January 2025, a quiet neighborhood in Carrollton, Texas was rocked by a series of doorbell notifications that felt like a scene out of a horror movie. A homeowner who wishes to remain anonymous was alerted to movement on her porch. Expecting a delivery, she opened the app to see a tall figure draped in a black hoodie, topped with a hyper-realistic blood-red goat mask. What made this encounter truly demonic wasn't just the mask, it was the behavior. The figure stood perfectly still for several minutes, holding a large placard referencing Revelation 20. For those of you who don't know, that specific Bible passage describes the dragon, that ancient serpent who is the devil, and Satan being bound for 1,000 years before the final judgment. The figure didn't steal anything, they simply stared into the camera lens with a hollow gaze. Local police investigated the creepy solicitor, but the homeowner told news outlets that she felt that she was being targeted by something spiritually dark. The footage remains a viral reminder of how the devil can literally knock on your door in broad daylight. Most porch pirates take boxes away, but in Pennsylvania, a creature known as the box demon was caught on camera bringing something much stranger to the door. The term uncanny valley refers to things that look almost human, but just off enough to cause deep biological revulsion. That is exactly what residents in northern York County experienced in early 2025. CCTV and doorbell cameras captured a figure later dubbed the box demon creeping through yards with a bizarre, jerky, quadrupedal movement. The entity appeared to have elongated limbs and distorted facial features that didn't reflect light correctly on infrared sensors. It would approach porches and leave empty, ritualistically folded boxes. When the Northern York County Regional Police Department finally tracked the individual down, they noted that the person was experiencing a severe crisis, but the footage itself showing a hunched, devil-like silhouette skittering across lawns in the dead of night has become a staple in paranormal breakdowns. Experts point to the inhuman gait as a classic sign of what demonologists call mimicry, where a dark entity attempts to move like a person but fails to understand human physics. It is the only time in US history that demonic possession was used as a legal defense for taking a life, and the photos from the scene are still debated to this day. The case of Arnshire and Johnson, recently revisited in the 2023 documentary The Devil on Trial, is the real-life inspiration for The Conjuring 3. It began with 11-year-old David Glatzels, who claimed a beast with a man's face, big eyes, and thin features began following him. As the possession intensified, investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren were called in and they brought cameras. The photos captured during the lesser exorcisms are genuinely disturbing. They show David's face contorting into a mask of pure malice. In one specific photo, a dark shadowy mass appears to be detaching itself from the boy's chest. The devil allegedly told David that he would take his soul, but Arn Johnson, the boy's sister's boyfriend, intervened, yelling for the demon to take him instead. Months later, Arn took the life of his landlord, Alan Bono, claiming that he had no memory of the event and was under the control of the entity. The court rejected the devil made me do it defense, but the photographic evidence remains some of the most analyzed in history. A warehouse worker in a receiving department thought it was just another busy day until a man with solid black eyes looked at him and confessed to a crime. Documented in a detailed account on the Paranormal community on Reddit and verified by witness descriptions, a warehouse worker described an encounter with an individual that left a 76-year-old coworker hysterical. The witness, who was handling shipments, encountered a man whose eyes were pitch black. No color, no emotion, just soulless. The elderly coworker began screaming that the man was evil and not human. The man looked at the worker and reportedly said, "You know I've killed before and I'm going to do it again," in a tone described as unlike anything that he's ever heard before. Security later tried to pull the license plate from the man's truck but found that there wasn't one registered to his name. This case is frequently cited as a modern encounter with the black-eyed person phenomenon, which many associate with being demonic. A security monitor in a hospital wing captured an an image so terrifying it caused the nursing staff to refuse to enter the room, and even decades later, nobody can explain what stood over that patient. This is perhaps one of the most famous and controversial demonic images ever captured on a surveillance system. The story began when a nurse at an undisclosed hospital noticed something impossible on the CCTV feed of a patient's room. In the grainy black and white still, a dark hunched figure is clearly visible standing directly on top of the patient's bed. The entity doesn't look human, it has elongated spindly limbs and its legs appear to be jointed like those of a goat or a large bird, a classic silhouette often associated with the devil. According to the original report, the patient passed away within hours of this figure appearing on the screen. Skeptics have tried to debunk this for years, suggesting that it's a forced perspective trick involving a trash can or a visitor's coat, but hospital staff who were there that night insisted that the figure moved across the monitor in a way that defied explanation. The image remains a cornerstone of paranormal study because of the sheer anatomical wrongness of the entity. An entire town once called the Perch of the Devil is now the subject of a massive paranormal investigation to find the entity that haunts its minds. Butte, Montana was once the richest hill on Earth, but it came with a dark price. In 2024 and 2025, investigators returned to the Perch of the Devil to document that malevolent force that has supposedly claimed lives in the orphan girl mine. Local legend says that a portal to the lower realms was opened during a mining disaster in the 1800s, and during a recent investigation using thermal imaging, a team captured a heat signature that defied logic. In a room that was a steady 50 degrees Fahrenheit, a hotspot shaped like a massive winged humanoid appeared on the wall. As the team approached, the figure moved independently of any light source. Even more terrifying was the audio captured, a deep, gravelly voice that didn't sound human, whispering the names of the investigators. Many locals believe the Devil of the Butte isn't a ghost, but an elemental demon that was disturbed by the mining and has remained to guard the Perch ever since. A game of Ouija in Poland turned into a living nightmare when a woman's transformation was caught on a smartphone camera. In 2025, the History Channel's The Proof Is Out There analyzed a piece of footage that has left even the most hardened skeptics feeling uneasy. A group of young adults in Poland were filming a spirit board session in an abandoned cellar. As they asked for the entity's name, the board reportedly spelled out Lucifer. Immediately, one woman in the group began to undergo a physical transformation. The smartphone footage, which was authenticated for the show, shows her body contorting, her back arching at an angle that should have snapped her spine. Her voice suddenly drops several octaves, and she begins speaking in a fluent ancient dialect of Latin. Exorcists who reviewed the tape noted that xenoglossy, the ability to speak unlearned languages, is one of the primary signs of true diabolical possession. The most chilling part? When they slowed the footage down, her pupils appeared to change shape in vertical slits similar to those of a reptile. Known as the Devil of Champawat, this entity took over 400 lives and left a trail of terror that was only recently documented with modern visual recreations. Sometimes the devil doesn't appear as a spirit, but as a devourer. In Champawat, India, a Bengal tigress became known as the devil incarnate after taking 436 human lives, the most by any single animal in recorded history. While she was eventually taken down by Jim Corbett, the legend of her being a shaitan or devil has persisted. In 2025, new archival footage and digital recreations of the hunt were released, showing the sheer size and unnatural behavior of the beast. Locals at the time claimed that she didn't act like a tiger. She would disappear into thin air and smile at her victims. They believed a demon had inhabited the animal to punish the region. The footage of the actual locations, coupled with the chilling historical accounts, show how the devil can manifest as a physical nightmare that paralyzed an entire nation for years. When a filmmaker set out to disprove a local legend in Pennsylvania, he captured a terrifying, tall, dark figure on a hidden camera that many believe is a modern-day manifestation of a demonic entity. One of the most intensely debated pieces of caught-on-camera footage in recent years comes from the Blackwell ghost stories. Filmmaker Justin Stevens began documenting a series of unexplained occurrences in a home where a violent event had previously taken place. In the footage, which has been analyzed by millions, a tall, shadowy figure with elongated limbs and a distorted non-human face is seen standing in a doorway. Unlike typical ghost footage, this entity has a physical presence that blocks out light and interacts with the environment, moving heavy furniture and even doors. The footage is so clear that many viewers claim that it isn't a ghost at all, but a demonic mimic. This case became a viral sensation because the filmmaker provided the raw, unedited CCTV files for public scrutiny. To this day, experts are divided on whether this is the most elaborate hoax in internet history or a genuine look look at a dark entity that has attached itself to a physical location. This isn't a movie, this is a 2025 recording of a prophetic intercessor whose hidden darkness was exposed in a way that left thousands of viewers in shock. Our number one spawn is a modern day record of an encounter with what ministers call a high-level principality. In late 2025, the Supernatural Life released footage of a deliverance session involving a woman who had been a devoted member of her community. During a prayer session, her personality completely fractured. The footage is raw and unedited, and it shows the woman developing superhuman strength, requiring 4 grown men to hold her down. Her skin begins to flush a deep purple, and she begins naming sins of the people in the room that she couldn't possibly have known, a common trait of the demonic known as knowledge of the hidden. The ministers claim that they were speaking directly to a lieutenant of the devil. The session lasted for hours, and the footage has become a lightning rod for debate. Whether you believe in the spiritual or not, seeing the devil manifest through a person you know and love is perhaps the most terrifying encounter of all. From the suburbs of Texas to the deep mines of Montana, these sightings remind us that there is still so much about our world and the spiritual realm that we don't fully understand. Are these captures proof of the devil, or are they just shadows and masks? One thing is for certain, for the people who were behind the camera, the terror was very, very real. Which of these encounters was the most chilling for you? Make sure you let me know in the comments down below. For now though, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and I'll see you on the next one.